two things you need to remember. Proverbs 11:15 says, "He who is surety for another will surely smart for it." So when you look at the term another, that meant a stranger in Hebrew. So he who is surety for a stranger will surely smart for it. All Gentiles or people bearing Gentile names have been defined in the 1755 Samuel Johnson's dictionary are those with a gentilitious name, those of an uncovenanted nation, or one of an uncovenanted nation, one who knows not the true God. So the legal surname is an identifier if you're using it. You can play any games you want with why you're using it, how you're using it, what you gain from it, what your philosophy is for your use of it, to hold the side that you may believe engaging in fraud liable. You are still deemed to be that persona, and therefore you're acting on it by your consent, and therefore whatever benefits and privileges you're taking from it, you're absolutely engaged in the fraud, and you're operating based on consent because no one's putting a gun to your head to do these things. You're doing it because you just don't know what else to do. That's not a good enough reason. That's just because you don't know what to do, which means you haven't gone far enough in your due diligence. So when we look at the term legal dummy, Black's Law Fourth, legal dummy is basically one who holds legal title for another, a straw man. Now, this is the big straw man theory, but we have to look at it how it exists. If you're acting as the person, then you are the person. So if you are acting with your God-given natural name, you have surrendered it, so to speak, to enter in to a legal sandbox of persons, and therefore that has been surrendered in a pay protection ring at that point. So you're now paying for protection. You have left what you had. It's really a bad deal, no matter how you look at it, but you have literally gone from what you had with God to enter into something that is covering up the truth of who you are. So the surname is nothing more than an address, a cover-up, a fraud, and you use it, and when you use it by consent, you're operating in error, and therefore you will pay the penalty for it, because a man cannot benefit from his own error. That's why you'll never really benefit from what appears to be the benefits and privileges under the legal persona, because there are really no real benefits that are going to come from it. They're short-lived. So does a legal dummy require a surname? Well, when you go into the AI system looking for the legal answer, it says yes, a legal dummy, also known as a nominee or trustee, because a trustee is the owner, has now taken on the ownership of the title. So if you are basically utilizing a birth certificate, you are acting as the owner, so therefore you own the debt of this instrument by your possession of it and claim to it. And therefore, a legal dummy, also known as a nominee or trustee in legal context, typically requires a surname, as it needs a full legal name to be properly identified and function within legal documents, even if it's a fictional entity. So let's just pinch ourselves for the moment. You may have been told by others that have websites and whatnot on the go that somehow you're going to be the beneficiary of this instrument. Well, why would you want to benefit from debt? Because that would basically not be something that I want in good moral conscience to be involved in, because according to Scripture, Christ canceled out all debt. Therefore, there is no debt. These instruments are used to deny the Messiah. So therefore, if you're using them, perpetrating yourself as that entity on that instrument, then you have literally taken on the persona of another, which would be someone who does not accept the Messiah. And therefore, you're operating not in free grace, you're operating in legal debt fraud.